work ethic. Got religious like a church session. Julie Bertha, rap God, I am her blessing. Ha! Won't he do it? It's that holy music. Yes. They try to mute it, but I rebuke it. It's therapeutic. Yes. It was already written, so I don't gotta write it. I was already gifted, so you don't gotta like it. Showing me and I am not excited. Adam was tempted, it's crippling. He didn't want to bite it. Get off Instagram and get some discipline.
Hello, listeners and viewers. Welcome to The One. Real people, real topics, real talk. Today is exciting. I know I always say we have an amazing show because we always do, but today we have the family in the building. What's going on, family?
Hello.
First, I want to start off by introducing one of our extraordinary mentors, Mr. Larry Scott. What's going on, Larry?
All right. How y'all doing out there?
And this show is titled Parental Guidance Suggested. But before we get started, I want to introduce. First, I want to say I've noticed that the two parents we have in the room today are actually has been a part of us from the very beginning, like last summer. Mm-hmm. I just thought about that this morning, from the very beginning, that first boot camp.
Yeah, boot camp.
Yep. They had their parents on the field. Before I introduce the parents, I almost forgot Jonathon, that guy Harris, who's in a secret location.
What's going on?
The first parent I want to introduce is Donielle Kelly.
Hello. Everybody.
Hi, Didi. How's it going today?
I'm good. How about yourself?
Oh, we're doing.
Out there?
Great. And next, I want to introduce Nicole Bruce.
Hello. Hope everybody's having a great day.
Excellent. One of the things that's very important about this particular show is because a lot of times people don't understand how important it is to get your child involved in some type of mentorship, some type of effective mentorship.
Absolutely.
Because, not knocking anybody, but there's, parents know and kids know when they're involved in something that they can be themselves and that's positive.
Right.
Most importantly, the kids know.
Yeah.
The kids know who's genuine and who's not.
And,
right.
And the parents know because the kids will come home like, nah, I don't want to do that no more.
Yeah. Yeah, quick. That instinct.
Quick.
And then the mentors be calling the parents like, hey, when your son to be here? Oh, well, he's kind of sick right now. But the child in the background like, no, Ma, no,
right.
No, please, no, stop. So that's mentorship is very important, especially right now during this time, with the pandemic. Of course, they're just opening up things. They're kids are starting to play sports again, starting to be able to be out. But regardless of what mentorship, positive role models is very, very important. I want to start with you, Didi. What was it that not only made you bring your child into the One Youth We Are One mentoring program, but kept your child active for this long?
What really took me is the care that you guys give to the kids. Right. It's not just like, hey, you come over here. Like, you guys personally know their names and like a little bit about their background. You guys took the time out from the first day. And it's like, okay, this is something that they really want to do. They're not just doing this just to say this is something that we're doing. Like, right. They really care about the kids. And it was like, my son was happy. He was like, okay, this is fun. Like, I call it boot camp, just right. Like y'all call it boot camp. He like, that's fun. Like, I'm like, boot camp fun? And so when he's saying he having fun and he's like not, he wasn't really tired because I know you guys did a lot with the kids, but he was like, yeah, come on, like, I'm ready. Y'all want to go back? We going back tomorrow? Oh, okay. So I'm like, yeah, this is a good program that they're starting with the kids, and my son needs something like that. Like, growing up, I had my uncles, I had my, positive role models like that in my life. My dad wasn't there. His dad is around, but it's like certain things that, my values aren't his values. So for a positive role model and a positive aspect in his life, to see that it's not just about sitting around in the house and playing games right. with someone. You have to have that connection that we want you to be a better person for yourself Absolutely. In the future. So Absolutely. I love that.
One of the things, Coach Larry, I remember, before you became a part of the team, because I know how meticulous you are at what you become involved in. I was laughing even this morning thinking about that. You and I were at the boot camp and we were talking, and you said, wait, that's my niece. So right then, I like that because one of the things we're able to create is that family atmosphere. And that's one of the reasons why we don't just open it to the public. Like, hey, everybody, come on. Like, we'll post it. And like you and I were laughing about this morning, like, we just don't respond to 98% of all of the kids, but not the people, because there's a certain energy we want to maintain and we want to keep. When it comes to the mentoring program and you've had apprehensions, like, everybody know you're not the type to just join anything.
Right.
What was it about this? And then especially, when you saw your niece was there, so your nephew's involved, and your energy is the same, your nieces, your nephew. What is it about this program that keeps you engaged and keeps you comfortable with your family who you love for them to remain a part of it as well?
Well, it's what really attracted me, first of all, to it was the fact of the engagement the We Are One movement was having with the kids and the community.
Right.
And I hadn't really seen that in a lot of other organizations, not to, down all the organizations, but what I was personally wanting to get involved in was something that's boots on the ground, and that's what I was witnessing when I would, go to your website and I would see what was being posted, and I would send to my wife, like, wow, I mean, look at this guy. He's doing what I would want to be involved in.
Right.
His boots on the ground. He's out there engaging with the community. He's grabbing hold of these kids, putting them under his wing, and showing them the correct direction that they should go in. And that's what really inspired me, because I wanted to do something, but you have to really be aware of the stuff you get involved in before you get involved in it. And so that's what really, attracted me to it. And, I'm just happy to be a part of it. And hopefully, in the future, we can engage in more individuals that's on the same track.
Right, more adult individuals.
With us.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because it's all from the heart.
Absolutely. Excellent. That guy, I keep forgetting about you because you're in your disclosed location.
I got to be discreet.
One thing I personally have noticed your progress, and from the very beginning, because it's just in your spirit, you have a certain connection with our youth. Like I remember after the second day of the boot camp, the little kids get out the car, they running up to him, hugging him. I'm like, yo, they didn't even say hi to me. They didn't speak to me all day. But it's Coach Jonathon, it's Coach Jonathon that. What do you feel? What is going on or goes on inside of you internally that gives you that energy that you don't even have to discuss? Like, I notice how you interact with kids. You don't even have to, it's just natural. They are naturally drawn to you. What is it that you think it is that allows the kids to just, their discernment about you is immediate? What do you think that you're doing personally that attracts that?
I mean, that's a good question. I mean, probably one of the first things is that I'm just willing to listen to them. Listen about their stories, if they had a bad day, if they had a good day. I think, if I had to be in their shoes all over again, I would want somebody to listen to me as well.
Absolutely.
It doesn't matter what age you are. I just hear time and time adults say, well, they kids, we don't have to listen to them. And that just bothers my soul, because I'm like, that's saying, they don't have feelings, that they're not human. And I'm like, they go through rough times just like we do. In the pandemic, I think one of the things that continuously gets at me is like, okay, are you going to ask your child, are they okay, mentally? Do they have enough to eat? And that just consistently, sticks out in my mind. If we can't listen to them, if we can't, be relatable, then I think we just, continue to fail. And I don't want these kids to fail, because personally, I always said, my purpose in life is not about me. First and foremost, it's about these kids and getting them to a better life. Like, I would love for every kid to have mansions, nice cars and all that. but I want them to have a peace of mind, which leads to happiness more than anything.
That's right.
Mm-hmm. That's definitely true. Miss Nicole Bruce,
Yes, sir.
who not only has children in the We Are One Youth movement, but is our parent liaison. You are, Jonathan and I talk about you a lot. Like,
She the best. She the best.
She is 100% for We Are One. I meant, I think Zeke was first.
Yes.
You brought your son in first. And then once we advertised that we were receiving young ladies, you brought your daughter in, then your niece, then your nephew, then your friends and their kids. And and so everyone, what I like about not only your dedication at We Are One, but from me being around the kids, is just your spirit to take care of kids, to be there, to be that comfort zone for them.
Yep, absolutely.
What is it that made you not only bring your son in, your daughter, but you actively recruit other kids into the movement? What is it that drives you to do that?
So I joined initially seeing the posting on Facebook, and I always try to have my son engaged in anything to do with positive Black men, because that's the part I can't give him.
Right.
But then after the first boot camp, and I think the first or maybe 2 community engagements, he was the only kid that showed up, but it was all the guys. And I think he talked about you guys and what you guys talked about the whole way home, the rest of the day, and the fact that he had that much, you guys gave him that much of an impression that he kept talking about it, and was comfortable that he engaged in the conversation too. You guys weren't talking at him, you guys were having conversations with him. And then when you opened it up to young ladies, my daughter does everything my son does.
Right.
So I'm like, I want her to have that experience too. But then as it just kept going, the consistency and genuineness I seen from you guys in what you were doing, just like Larry said, seeing the boots on the ground. This isn't just, hey, we put this program together to say that we do something.
Right.
Like, you guys are actually doing it consistently. And it's genuine. And with each kid that I brought to the program, I got the same feedback, the same feelings, the same, hey, I like it, all the way up until February, when my niece was like, so there's no We Are One this weekend? And I'm like, she's the kid that doesn't ever want to do anything outside of the video game. So the fact that she's asking to do community engagement that has nothing to do with playing the video game, we have a winner.
And let me tell you something about that incident. Jonathan reached out to me and he explained, like, Simone reached out to Nicole and said, are we doing anything? That was on a Thursday.
Yep.
And I said, we weren't, but we are now. Remember, Jonathan?
Absolutely.
Because what I was explaining to him over the phone, I said, because she reached out to Nicole and was wondering, I said, that's a cry for something. And when I say cry, I don't mean nothing negative.
Right.
I mean, okay, she wanted something, so it was that Thursday. I was like, all right, send out a group text. She wanted, so we about to do it.
Yeah. And I don't want to miss anything.
Right, absolutely.
Is there anything going on? Because I don't want to miss it if there is.
Absolutely.
And I was like, that's why I said, like, she wanted to get away from the video game. What?
Right.
Even my kids being gone for weeks, got back like, nope, we're going. Yeah. Because we've been gone. We haven't had that interaction. Zeke talks to Larry at least once a week.
Right.
He
absolutely.
either calls me. He usually calls me and Zeke. So, they were gone for a couple weeks, and they were like, yeah, we're there too.
Wow. Dee Dee.
Yes.
How important do you think mentorship is to your son?
I think it's very important because of the environment that we live in, the things that we see around, like even from the writing, from the kids dealing with police and stuff like that. My son sees all of that. And sometimes I feel him being whiny, I wouldn't say, but I have to tell him, like, in this world, people will use that against you, and they'll take advantage and make you cause a reaction that you don't want.
Right.
So to have a positive role model and someone here to guide him and say, like, we've been through this. We're grown. We're trying to help you through, and not just to yell at you or to like make you feel down about yourself or just the situations that you're living in and the environment, but to let you know that you can rise out of it and you can be positive role models for other people to come. And he also, I have a daughter, so she's look up to him. You know, she's 2, they're 6 years apart, but you know, in a sense, like you have to be a strong person. And I had my uncles around. They were my role models, my men role models growing up. I have a brother, and they, you know, took him out and did so much with us. It wasn't like, you know, we didn't have a father around, but we don't have no guy around. So like for my son, I'm like, okay, he has his dad around, but he goes over, he plays games a lot. They do whatever they do. And I'm just like, I pick him up from over there and bring him to the programs. Like, oh, okay, y'all don't have all right, I'll be there at such and such time. And we're going to bring him, and then I'll bring him back. You know what I'm saying? And he looks forward to that. So, and I think mentorship, because as a young child, I was in Hillside Work Scholarship Program, so in Urban League Black Scholars. So I had like mentors in the educational realm, you know what I'm saying? Like they helped me with education and professionalism, but to just be in the world. Yeah,
that's the real education that's needed.
Right.
They don't teach that.
They don't teach that. Excellent. And like I try to explain to him, like I might have came up with attitude or some things like that, and you know, it don't have to be that way. And you can see that like people are out here to help you. It's not everyone is against you. And when they come to you with constructive criticism, accept it. Right. Because they're trying to build your skills up. They see something in you that other people don't. So I'm like really, really big on mentorship. I tell him like, who's the one that's telling you, trying to get you out here to understand the world? Like, right. It's not just fun and games.
Absolutely.
So, and he loves it. So I love the mentorship.
So I have a question for everybody, and touching on mentorship. What are some of the things that you feel are lacking, you know, in today's mentorship programs? Now, I know We Are One is the best.
Yes, we are.
Consistency.
But consistency, you know, and to touch on that, you know, could it be, you know, a lack of empathy and, you know, commitment, like, you know, kind of like you said with consistency?
I think probably both. I think it depends on the program that we mention or not mention. But I would say consistency in people want to say they're part of something. It sounds good to say that you do this. Right. As long as it doesn't interfere with their personal life or what they want to go do. Right. The fact that it could be every weekend in a month and you guys are out there with the kids, or every other weekend, shows the dedication and the consistency. This is how you're spending your weekends. This is how, you know, Coach Larry spends his evenings coaching the kids in boxing, and it's consistent. It's not we're going to do it once every quarter, but we're going to post the pictures once a week from that event 3 months ago. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
That's what drew me, and that's what draws me to try and engage other people, is because the consistency in the genuineness, not just, hey, look at us, you know, we got our hats, we got our shirts, we look good. It's not about that. Everything else could fall off.
Yeah, we still gonna be out there.
There could be no brand, and
we're gonna be out there.
And you guys are still genuine when it comes to the kids.
Oh, excellent.
Yes, I'll piggyback on that. Like Nicole said, the consistency. But what I really see that will just put a whole circle around the issue is the heart. It has to be from the heart. Right. And a lot of other organizations, again, it's their motive is not what's in their heart. You know, and it has to be in your heart. You as an individual, you have to really, truly love what you're doing and be for what you're doing.
Yes.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Period. It cannot be, I'm doing this because, you know, elections coming up in the field.
I want some signatures.
Right. I'm doing this. I want a blessing, so I'm going to do this because of that. No, it has to be you're doing it because of you.
Right.
You want to do this. And what I've experienced with the We Are One movement is all the brothers and the sisters that's involved are in it from their heart.
Yeah.
We're doing this with the kids, the youth, and the engagement in the communities, because that's what we want to do from our heart, and we really want things to improve.
Absolutely.
And that's what's going to happen through this organization. There it is.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, I love that. So let me ask you, Nicole, what is it? Is there anything that you see that, and then I want the same the same question applies to you, to Dee as well. Because I remember when Zeke first came, he was involved in the Steve Harvey mentoringship.
He still is.
Okay, so I remember he was telling us about that, and that shows me, because you are a super active parent. Like, I remember reading the post the other day. He was like, "Yo, this school keep getting emails from me." Like, "Oh, here go Miss Bruce again." What is it that you would like to see, or do you see anything that we could adjust in the way we do things that you say, okay, now they got it?
I think, no, to answer your question, no, there isn't one thing that stands out to me that I feel like, oh, I just wish they would. I feel like it's growing and it's evolving, and as you guys are learning the kids, and the kids are learning you guys, and I think you guys do a good job at gravitating towards what each individual kid needs.
Absolutely.
So it's not this is what falls under our umbrella that we do.
Right.
It's really contoured to each kid.
Right.
What support each kid needs. Like you guys coming to the mixed competition thing that Zanaya had to do to play a boy sport, or going to a school meeting for Isaiah.
Absolutely.
So there isn't anything that I see that I would add at the moment, because you guys already do a great job at rolling with the punches with whatever the kid's individual need is, and the parents' support.
Absolutely.
Because in what I have already seen you guys do, there's nothing that happens that is just the kid.
Right.
Even if it's the kid first, it's, hey, so we did this today because this was the feeling that he was having, or this is what she mentioned, so this is our reaction to it, this is what we did, but hey, now we're circling back to you, or we're starting with you.
Absolutely.
So there isn't anything that I've seen you guys do that's, like boxy.
Right. Not cookie cutter.
Yeah,
absolutely.
It's just rolling with the punches, which I think goes back to the consistency and the genuineness. It's not we only do this, so you're gonna have to find that somewhere else.
Right.
It's nothing's off the table.
And that goes back to I think that guy, you and I were having this conversation yesterday. I said, in order to be successful, you have to be in the future and in the moment.
Right.
I told Jonathon that. I said, we will always be in the future and in the moment, because when you're in the future, you're not outdated. Your initiatives aren't outdated.
Right.
But when you're in the moment, you can make change immediately.
Absolutely.
Like you said earlier, it's not like, well, we don't do that because this is the box we're in. And if you look at our outline, this is all we do. Another thing I strongly believe, and I've learned this from my experience and my travels and working with kids all over the country and working with educators, teaching them how to be trauma sensitive. You have to, in order to really help the child, you have to create a holistic approach. You have to see, because a lot of times, and not knocking any programs, you'll come to a program, you'll motivate that child for 4 or 5 hours, but then that child has to go back into that toxic household or that toxic community. So even when we're doing our community engagement, it's to help the community, but it's really for the child. It's to make that environment, calm that environment down, create that brand identity. So when the child walks through with our shirt or hat on, oh yeah, they're the ones that be out here. Hey, what's going on, little man?
Yeah.
So that's the strategy behind why we do that. So just twofold, going back to, that's why the branding is important, because we know when we transfer that branding to the child is now safe in those communities. And
confident.
yes. Yeah.
The confidence to say, I can walk through this neighborhood,
Right.
and I'm good because I already gave back to this neighborhood. I've talked to the people in this neighborhood. I've been to the store before.
Yeah.
Maybe, all the kids are from different places. So maybe a kid is from the west side and you guys been working on the east side,
Right.
or vice versa. So it gives them the confidence that I'm good. I've gotten the tools. I've been around these men that know how to carry themselves, that taught me how to carry myself, so I can walk anywhere, and I'm confident in who I am with my head held high.
Excellent.
And that's a huge thing, especially with fatherless households, that boys don't have, is the confidence that I can hold my head high. And I feel like the lack of confidence is where a lot of conflict comes from.
Yes.
Right.
Preach.
Right. And what's as I'm listening to Nicole talk about that, it's weird because that guy, Jonathon, you went through that same transition as a young man. Because I remember you and I having conversations where, you know, you come from an environment where there's no way y'all gonna be on Hudson Avenue. There's no way y'all gonna be standing, because, you know, like, we pull in a certain neighborhood, and if I see dudes standing on the corner, like, I tell John, oh man, I can't wait to get out this car.
Absolutely, all the time.
So I can engage. Hey, what's going on, fellas? Hey, fellas, what's going on? Yo, I ain't trying to sell y'all nothing. I'm just here to talk. Yo, can I have 60 seconds? They be like, no, you can have more than 60 seconds. And so when Nicole, you talked about that transition and what it does to a young man or young lady to be engaged in their community, and it gives them that confidence. I've also experienced, and I'm gonna use, you know, John as a perfect example, even the mentors gaining that confidence from Jonathon, I heard you say one time, like, yo, there's no neighborhood I won't walk in now.
Oh yeah, it was literally about the first time just trying it.
Right.
You know, there was a sense of fear, but it was just like, okay, if he can do this, I can do it. I may not have been in that environment, but, you know, the worst thing I can say is, you know, I didn't try.
Right.
I wanted to try. You know, everybody's just like, okay, they don't want nothing, they don't want this, they don't want that. I'm like, come on, that's just really just a lie. You know, if you go out there with the approach like, no, just be relatable some way, somehow. I don't know everything, but I had to look for guidance, you know, from those who have been in those situations before. And so by getting that experience, you know, learning and then testing it out, I knew that it worked right then.
Right, absolutely. And that's why it was weird that you said that, because, you know, we recently experienced it even from one of our mentors who, like, Jonathon will hop out the car anywhere, but his family won't.
No.
You know, not knocking him. I'm just saying, because some people are just used to certain environments.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Like Jonathon can say, yo, it'd be 1 o'clock in the morning now. I'll jump out of the store on Joseph Avenue. You know, and that shows how not only are we, I would say it's strategic on purpose as well. How only are we not changing the concept or the way our kids see the world, but our mentors, and I'm gonna take this to
there's no way it could be one-sided
right,
and effective too.
Right, because I think that what we do has changed Coach Larry drastically. As far as not saying he saw kids another way, kids that hang in the street corner, but I know it's not even through your social media. When someone says something negative about kids in general, they don't even have to be kids in the program. Coach Larry gonna get them. Coach Larry gonna say in the nicest way he can possible, no, stop saying kids are A, B, C, D. Right. If you haven't worked with them, if you haven't talked to them. And we live in a society where we complain about our kids, but we're scared of them too.
Crazy.
There you go.
Scared of them. And don't want to go into religion, but even
we operate as if they're a possession.
Right.
Yes, people sure do.
Right, and people fear our kids.
And an emotionless possession. They don't have their own thoughts, feelings, opinions.
Right.
I don't know what we expect to get as the end result of our children treating them like that.
Yeah, because, you know, it's easy to say, oh, the kids are our future. Then treat them like it.
Right.
I think it comes from the old saying, kids are to be seen and not heard.
Yes.
And I couldn't disagree with that statement more. Now, I don't think a child should be in the room when you're having an adult conversation.
Absolutely.
But the whole seen and not heard means that they're not allowed to voice their opinions or their emotions on it. And which is why when you guys approached me about my house being the house that everybody is at, and I'm like, I don't even know why, because I'm mean. But my house is it because I listen. Because I don't operate in you're the kid and because I said so, because I'm the adult. I operate in their people. And so, like, yes, it's my house and I pay all the bills, but nothing happens in my house that Zeke and Zanaya don't approve first, because they have to live in that environment. Just because I pay the bill doesn't mean that they have to live through whatever happens around it. So, and I operate like that with every child. So, you know, my first question is always, so what do you feel about it? Or what would you like to have happen in it? That's no matter what my approach is, grades, behavior, whatever.
I like that approach.
Those are always my questions.
I love that.
Most of the time, they'll tell us what they need.
Yeah, you just gotta listen.
And sometimes they don't even tell you directly. Like you just said, you just gotta listen and pay attention. Dee Dee, one of the things that you talked about earlier when you talked about your son, and you talked about what they see, because I tell people all the time, kids notice everything.
Yeah, everything.
As adults, you think they don't. Kids notice everything.
Early.
Yeah.
That they're just a baby is not true.
That's out of the window.
It's not a thing.
They don't know what we talking about.
Yeah, they don't know what we talking about. Okay. And you start spelling the words out.
Right, like, okay, we gotta go.
And they in the corner like this.
Right. What that Yep. Early.
One of the key things you said when you talked about how your son, he sees what's going on in the world. He sees, you know, the police situation. And a lot of times when I think about, you know, that's a whole nother conversation. But when you look at the police situation, then you look at our educational system, and then you talk about locally, you know, in Rochester, New York, talk about the lunch and all that. And to me, I think it's just overpowering for a child.
Yeah.
It's just so much. So as a effective mentoring program, one thing that we notice is, okay, we know all that. So we know what effect that has on a child subconsciously, even if they don't say it.
Right.
And we also completely understand what a parent go through, because it's kind of hard sometimes for a woman to raise a man. You know, 5 or 6 is easy, but when he's 14 and you say something he don't like it, you know what I'm saying? When he's 15. But one of the things about us, we understand that we look at, once again, using the word, the holistic approach, we look at the entire picture. And like Coach Larry said earlier, it's in our heart. If we, you know, we're in a storage facility now. We done turned that into a classroom, a playground. So, but one of the things we learned about that, and we talk about all the time, like, kids don't care.
They don't.
As long as they're in the right environment, nurturing, they're not being judged. It's not nothing crazy going on. They go in that storage facility, play tag, chase, hide and go. Listen, they act like they're at
Fun zone.
Fun zone every single time. So, so I said that to say, even as listeners who are kind of apprehensive, even if you just get some kids on your street, kids don't care. You keep that environment right, you can literally take them anywhere, and they're gonna have fun. It's the grown-ups who, like, remember we had the boot camp, it was raining? Remember that? Remember we had the boot camp and it was raining, and we was like, the kids, hey, and it was like maybe 20 kids out in the field playing football, grown-ups. They said, hey, can we go out there? Like, y'all know it's pouring down rain. Y'all really want to go out there?
Yeah.
And they actually ran out there, and the adults that were playing football was very welcoming. I was like, oh, yeah, come on. And they played football for a while.
Nice.
And so the boss said that to say, adults, we have to do something.
Yeah.
You know, our quote, anti blah, 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 like, stop talking. Like Nicole said earlier, people tend to put things together and take pictures just to say I'm a part of something that has no real effect. You know what I'm saying? It can't just be, hey, look at me, I got this program.
Right.
And then the kids go home at 4 o'clock from your program, and that's it.
Friday to Monday is a long stretch.
Right. Because what you tend to do is a phrase I always use too. We have to stop putting Band-Aids over open wounds.
Right.
We have to get to the core, the base of the problem. And a lot of times I'm seeing, you know, with the kids, it's not the kids or the home, it's the community.
Yeah.
Or it's a collection, because every influence, school, home, and the community affects that child.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so that's why our strategy is, once again, is to change all of that at the same time. And Nicole, like you said earlier, like, it'd be surprising if the kids want to go in the community. They want to pick up trash. And like now we're coaching them and training them to knock on the door and engage.
So my kids is probably like Jonathon. So I grew up in the east side, on the lower east side, and then gravitated to the west side. So I'll go in any neighborhood at any time, whenever,
Right.
no problem. But my kids are more sheltered, and even though I'm comfortable, I wouldn't let them. So they go with you guys, and that gives them the confidence. They just wouldn't have a clue. It's not that I ever speak down about it
Absolutely.
or anything. It's just not part of our travels.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like we're doing too much. We're involved in too many things that we don't really just have time for stop-offs, right? So my kids wouldn't ordinarily have ever walked down the street
Right.
in the neighborhoods that you guys are engaging them in. So I am appreciative of the opportunity at this age versus that guy's age.
Right.
You know, to kind of, you know, jump off the porch in a positive way.
Right.
Wow.
So that's huge because, you know, until now, the only place that he could go without me is the village. Because that's where
He's a
that's
zone.
his comfort zone. That's where his friends are, and I wouldn't, like, I'm more comfortable with him being in the village by himself versus in the city by himself. But before I could let him be in the village by himself, I had to have you are the black kid conversation. You're not inside the schoolhouse who knows
Right.
your mother and the household you come from and the kid that you are genuinely. You are now in a community that is very opposite of what you look like, and so you can't do the same things that your friends do. It won't be received the same way, and how
That's
you
right.
react to
Yep.
the adversity you might face is even more important than how your friend who you've been in school with since first grade can do. So it's always a lesson.
Yes.
So I'm teaching him how to be a black man.
Right. Wow. That's deep.
I am.
Right.
So I've reached out to uncles and whatever, but even family hasn't been consistent enough for me to feel like the message is safe and solid. So I think that's why this program has been so important, because you guys have shown that, where they're not even getting it from their uncles and they have a gang of them. So for me, that's the important part. And then for my daughter, it's the same thing. Their father is deceased, so there isn't a consistent positive male role model, and her seeing it and how she should be spoke to and how she should be handled is important.
Yes.
And if I'm not the person that's offering those experiences, however I come across them, thankfully I came across We Are One, then where will they get them from?
Right.
They'll get them from their peers
Right.
who don't have a clue.
Yeah.
In society who doesn't necessarily really care about other people right now.
That's right.
Yeah.
It's a very sustaining place and time we're in.
Yep.
And it's scary. So the We Are One movement is important because not only is it touching the kids that are in the program, but it's molding the kids that are in the program to be the next mentors.
Absolutely.
My son is 15, so in another summer or two, he's probably going to be a junior mentor.
Absolutely.
He's
Absolutely.
going to have
We already talk about it.
So it's and that's what we need. Not only do our kids need mentors, but we need mentors. And how do we get mentors? We create mentors.
Absolutely. You get
So
it.
Building.
it's a whole cycle.
You get it. Excellent. Well, listeners and viewers, that's our show. And as you all know, we always end the show with final thoughts from everyone. We're going to start with you, Coach Larry. What are your final thoughts to the listeners, to the parents who are listening, who are considering, and even not just us, you do your research on something else that exists. If you want them to go another way, but get your kids involved in something. And a lot of times I think we should get our kids involved in something besides sports. Everybody, a lot of kids, there's a certain percentage of kids that play sports, but a lot of times we forget the percentage that don't. There's not a lot for them to do.
Right.
So starting with you, Coach Larry, what parting words would you want to leave our listeners and viewers with?
Well, my parting words is this. You know, everyone is on the internet, and we know about all the foolish challenges we'll take. You can put a challenge out there to drink some gasoline, and we all try, which is crazy. So I'm going to end with this. My challenge is to all our brothers out there. You know, I challenge you to wake up one morning, tomorrow morning, and say to yourself, what can you do, and you are willing to do from your heart to improve the destination of our youth. And in doing so, you will improve the destination of our black communities.
Absolutely.
You know, and that's my challenge. Find you something that you can do. Everyone in their family, they're busy, they got strong schedules, but you have to sacrifice for something you love to do. You know, so if you love your people and you love mankind, I would say find you something, some organization. It doesn't have to be We Are One.
Right.
We some bad brothers.
Yes, we are.
Absolutely. But, you know, find you something constructive to do to improve the lives of our youth. And that's my final words.
Great. That guy, what are your final thoughts? Final words?
I think it's for just, people that say they want to help kids. We're all about action here at We Are One. And so I just posed the question to anybody, are you up for the challenge? Because if you're up for the challenge, you got to be committed. And this is not just a 3 or 4 hour a day thing. You got to be committed for life.
Absolutely.
And so I'll leave them with those words.
Great. Dee Dee, what are your final words to any parents who might be listening?
My final words will be dig into yourself and find the strength to help yourself and help your child, because it's not just the child, it's the parents as well, because we are going through things just like the child are. And if our mind is chaotic, we're just spilling over into the child. So find something for yourself to be able to love yourself enough to love your child more. And everyone else in the community will, gear towards that and help you, because at the end of the day, the future really does matter. Yes. And people become a product of their environment. So why not put them in an environment where someone is helping better them, and until betters you, because your child is coming back and their mindset is different, their reactions, their answers, and how they go about certain situations. And you look at your child and you're like, okay, right. Like me, I honestly, parents out there, have a podcast called Flaws in Confidence, where it's
I see you plugging. Go ahead.
Life stressors you go through, everybody goes through something, but it's just the way you go about it. How do you get through the adversity? You know what I'm saying? Pass that down to your child and reach out for that help. Reach out for that help. Like they're saying, We Are One is not the only place, but this could be the start.
Absolutely.
And they can put you into the community wherever. If it's not a fit for you, I'm pretty sure they got the resources to find someone, something to help your situation.
Absolutely. And before we get to final thoughts for Nicole, plug your podcast real quick. What's the name of it? Flaws in Confidence. All right, by Donielle Kelly. Oh, sounds good. Nicole, any parting words for parents that are listening?
Yeah, I would say, I'm sure we've all done things that haven't panned out well for us. And whether we thought it was from the beginning or not, we still tried it. So I would say if you're still questioning whether or not We Are One is the right program for you, come sit in. Come have your kids sit in. Come have your kids talk to my kids. It's free. We all like free, so you don't have anything to lose except some time. And although time is valuable, what if this free time becomes invaluable to what your kids gain from this program? So, take the opportunity to come sit in, have a conversation with a mentor, have a conversation with the kids, and ask them personally what their experience has been. Stop them on the street. Come to the next boot camp, just ask some questions. You don't really have anything to lose. You only can gain.
Oh, absolutely. Right. Well, my parting words are the same as always. One mission, one family, one love, and we're out.
I found my pace. Now these brush me. Got $1 million smile. Started with some buck teeth. Show you how to get it now. Bet you niggas trust me. Young black with a gift. Must be. Oh, we got new names. You gotta add with a gift. Add with a gift. Add with a gift. Oh, we got new names. You gift. Ad with a gift, like Clancy with a gift. T-Dan with a gift. T-Y with a gift. B-Will with a gift. Shia with a gift. Kyle with a gift. Claude with a gift. We all with a gift. Like